Hi, I'm Amanda Skelton, an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you how to make this really nice card. So it is using the Beautiful Balloons suite, and I've made it into a shaker card. So in the balloon I've made a shaker card with nice little sequins inside. So that's what I'm going to show you how to make today. So as I said, it is using the Beautiful Balloons die set and matching stamps. So we're going to use both of those sets today, so you can see the really nice images we've got here and the really nice dies we've got. So we're going to be using those to create our aperture, and in fact the piece we're going to cut from here we're going to reuse to make this balloon. And then we've got this really nice label that we can use, and these really nice tassels as well. This is going to be really good. So if I just show you the catalogue. So this is the catalogue of this whole suite. Now I thought when I ordered it, I thought I'd ordered the whole suite, which includes the dies, the stamps, the designer series paper, and then the speciality paper as well. So this is really nice silver and gold, sort of like acetate, sort of clear papers, which look really nice on top of the sequins, as you can see there. So here, I don't know if you can see here, this die here makes this really nice edge, like a frill edge, which is really nice detail as well. Like I said, I thought I'd ordered all of this, so I really like the brightness of the colours. It's really nice for, you know, a kids party. I'm also going to make one in black and gold, which I think will be really nice and classy for like a 50th or a 60th birthday, something like that. So this is a really nice, I think, go-to set for any birthday really. I think it's going to be a staple of mine. So that's what we're going to use today. And what I'm also going to do is use the in colours. So we've got the new in colours for 2023 up to 25, and we've got these colours here. So we've got Copper Clay, Pebbled Path, Wild Wheat, Boho Blue and Moody Mauve. And today I'm going to use the Pebbled Path and Copper Clay, and I'm going to use this colour DSP, which is Lemon Lolly. So this is one of the new colours in the core colour bundles. So it's not the in colour, but it's one of the new colours coming into one of, I don't know if it's coming into the brights, I can't remember, but that's one of the new colours. And I think to go with the Copper Clay and Pebbled Path is going to be quite a nice colourway. So what I'm also going to show you and use is, if I can find them, the new DSP that matches the in colours. So this is the 6x6 papers, and you've got, obviously you've got your two sides, so you've got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colours there, and you've got all these nice patterns. Although this is hearts, I think in something like this colour or this colour, it looks a bit leopard print, sort of animal print, which I think is quite nice. So that's what we're going to use, and I've chosen to use the Pebble Path colour with the yellow that I'm going to use. Let me just show you a couple of other cards that I've made with this set. So these were sort of my practice ones really. So there is a die that cuts out 3 balloons, which I think like that looks nice, and there's a really nice stamp that curves around the larger balloon. I think that's a really nice detail, and these tassels are just gorgeous. I think I'll use that on a lot of things actually, even not with this. So that was one of my samples, and then this was my first practice at a shaker card. Again, this is using the same dies as this. In fact, I think I've used the die cut from here to use this one. But when it's like this, you can't really see that it's 3 balloons. It almost looks like a heart or a Mickey Mouse sort of thing. So I wasn't so happy with that one. So sort of it'll be fine as a card, but it wasn't what I wanted to show as part of my workshops that I just did. So that just gives you a little bit more of an idea. So what do we actually need to make this card then? So we need a piece of coloured card. So it's basically half a sheet of A4 scored in half. So that is so that is basically half an A4 scored in half. Then you need a piece of white, which is going to be for your front panel, this panel here, and that measures 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. So that just needs to be a little bit smaller than your front panel, just so you've got a nice edge, just gives a nice border to it. And then you want a piece of DSP. here. So this needs to measure 2.5 inches by 3 inches, and that's just going to go behind your shaker section just to add a bit more pattern and detail there. You don't need it under everything because you're not going to see it, so just need a piece that's big enough for the die cup here. And then we also need, so there's 2 ways of doing a shaker. Well, there's probably more than 2 ways. 2 ways I'm aware of doing a shaker card. So the way that we're going to do it is by using a clear sort of cellophane bag. And so this is a 5x7 cellophane bag that I've cut in half this way. And then that gives me already, the left and the bottom are already joined. And then I just need to stick the right and the top to make it a sealed bag. Another way you can do it is to use like a solid sort of acetate sheet. And you would then, on the back of this, you would then stick this acetate to the back of this section, and then you would then around the outside of the edge use sort of like a padded foam, sticky foam, something that will give it, you know, a little bit of height. And you basically want to follow the edge, the shape around, so that then when you put your sequins in, they don't come out. Something like this shape is quite difficult to do with that because obviously it's a straight edged product, so that's why I've chosen to do this for this. But if you've got straight edges, then that could be as good. It depends how well you like. I mean, you can slightly see it's sort of slightly wrinkled. That's because of the nature of how thin this is. So if you don't like that look, then probably best to go for the acetate because that'll give it a really solid window. But anyway, just thought I'd show you this option, which is quite good. So the first thing we're going to do then, and what we're going to do is we're going to create our own background pattern here by using some of the stamps. So first thing we want to do is, with our white front layer card, is we're going to cut out the balloon. And you want to do this before you do the detail, otherwise you're going to end up with this pattern on this balloon. So if you want to have that, that's fine, but you won't see this balloon as easily if it's got the same pattern. So you want to cut it out before you do all your stamping on here, so that this is clear, or alternatively you can use the other side, but I'm going to do it before. So you want to make sure you've got enough space around the edges. Let's just get rid of those. So you want to make sure you've got enough space around the edges to be able to put your acetate, or if you're using sticky padded a foam pad, you want to have enough space around it. Well, it was in the right place until I did that, wasn't it? So let's put it about there. So you're probably talking about 1 inch from top and left there. And then just place that one on top. Okay. And then what you'll also want is you'll want some white paper for the tag as well. So while I'm here, I'm going to do this tag as well, because that's in white, and then we want to stamp onto it. And it's because the die is solid like this, it's very difficult to see where to place this on top of a stamped image, because it's solid. If it was just the outside like this, you'd be able to see where your writing was, but it isn't. So on this particular instance, I would suggest you die cut the label first. That's not going to quite fit. Die cut the label first and then stamp onto it, because then you can see very much easier how to line up your stamped image. Okay, so there we have our label, and this is a really pretty label. Again, I think I'll use that on a lot of different projects, not just with this set. So right, we'll need that one again in a minute. Keep that handy. Okay, so we have these pieces here. So I'm going to use this detail here and this little streamer detail here. Actually, no, it's this one, and this one, I think. Yes. So I'm going to use those two to make my background. Generally, if you're doing your own background and you're doing a couple of different patterns, I'd probably suggest you do the larger image first, because it's easier to then fit the small image in between. So I'm going to use a variety. I'm going to use the pebbled path and the copper clay. So I'm just going to, and you want to, oh, so I need to get my head above this so I can see where I went. Okay, the balloon's going to be over that, thankfully, so that's not going to be too bad. And you can make this as filled or as not, as your pattern wants to be. You see how much ink I've got over that. That's not ideal. If that happens, you can wipe it off, or you just don't want to rock the stamp pad too much when you place it on your card. Okay, I'm going to leave that one like that. Okay, so now I'm going to use the copper clay. So I'd probably suggest you maybe use 2 or 3 different colours, maybe 2 colours on this, just to add a bit of detail. And I'm going to put one over there, so hopefully they'll hide that blemish. If you do it on a corner of the pad, you're less likely to get it so much on your pad. Again, you can see how I've got quite a lot here, so I need to make sure I don't rock the pad so much. I'm going to go right to the edges. And you can see where you think you need to fill a gap. There you go. So I think that's what I'm going to do for that one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this image here, this stamp, to fill in the colour on this one. And I think I'm going to do that in the pebbled path. I think I want this to be sort of a bit more of a masculine card, so I'm going with the greys and the browns. Move that one over there. So I'm not sure if there is really, there's a slight bit more of a point at here, so I'm going to use that as the bottom, and then I'm just going to place that on the die cut balloon. So that's quite a nice image. And then I think I'm going to use the copper clay. So again, you've got a really nice happy birthday on here. You did it, so thrilled for you. So it's really nice for a celebration. It doesn't have to just be a birthday. It can be a congratulations. And I'm going to use the copper clay. So what I did on this card was I angled this up so that this tag part was at the bottom of this balloon, and then I was able to use this this detail here, and I've put it on the tag so that it joins the tag and the balloon, so actually it sort of serves 2 purposes there. Here I used the stamp, which is the tassel, and then die cut it, but I think this adds a lot more detail, so I probably will do 2 of those. So because of that, that means I need to angle it up that way. So that's the way you want your happy birthday to line up. You don't obviously have to have it like that, but it just seems to fit nicely to do that. So that's the, ooh, that's the way I'm going to have that. So let's just practice that one. There you go. And then you just want to place that in the middle. There you go. So that's my sentiment. So I can just move that to the side for the minute. And that one. Okay. So what we're going to do now, so we've got our balloon, we've got our tag ready. We'll die cut these in a minute. So now what we're going to do is concentrate on the shaker section. So let me show you what we're going to do there. So like I said, I've used half a cello bag and cut it down the middle. So what you want to do is turn over your stamped image. The side that's already a join, I'd probably use that on the left hand side, or the side that's the narrow side, because what we're going to do is going to use, you can either use liquid glue or double-sided tape. I'm going to use the tearing tape. And what you want to do is make sure that when you tape up the side and the top, you don't see it from the front. So you don't want it to be too big so that you lose all the sequins over here. So you want it to have it just wide enough that you've then got space for your tape at the bottom. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit. So I'm going to cut it to about, so I want that section there. I think I'm going to cut it, sticky scissors. Yeah, let's not use those. And then again, you want it quite close to the bottom so that when the sequins fall to the bottom, that you'll see them at the bottom of the balloon. But you want to make sure that this doesn't go over the top of your front piece of card. So you want that just to be at the top. And I'm just going to continue that cut down there. So I've got this little square pocket here, which should be just about the right size to put behind your aperture. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, I'm going to bring my thing here because it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so the sequins I'm going to use, I'm afraid they're not Stampin' Up ones because I didn't order the Stampin' Up ones that go with it. They're just white ones because they go with everything then, doesn't matter what colour you put behind it. And actually in this instance, because I've got quite a dark colour behind it, the white is going to show up really nice. So those are the sequins I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tape up the outside here and along the top, but I'm not going to take off the protective cover at this point. So you almost need 5 pairs of hands for this. You want to try and get it down as close as you can and as close as to the edge as you can. Now these sequins are quite big, so if there's a tiny gap like that, you're going to get away with it. If you've got tiny beads, for example, you need to be careful because they will get through small gaps. So you want to make sure that you fill all the gaps. So again, I've got that into that corner. Try and keep this as flat as you can, because if you don't, it's going to start wrinkling. And then I'm just going to cut that slightly short of that. Okay, so that's what you sort of want. I could have got a bit further in there, but I'll get away with it. So hopefully when I place it over there, you aren't going to see the taped bits. Okay, so that's the idea. So what you can do now is the side section. You can now take your protective film off of it. Okay, and then gently just let it fall back down gently and flat as you can, otherwise you're going to get wrinkles in it. Okay, so now I've got a nice pocket. So now I'm going to fill it with some sequins. Now what I need to do with these is you probably find with a lot of sequins, they all seem to bunch up together and go into really thick clumps. And to get it to move around a bit more, you want them to be separated. So you might just have to give them a little bit of a rub to separate them out a bit. So that you can see that big clump there, we're all together. So you just want to separate them out, and it's easier to do before you put them back into the bag. Oh, they're going everywhere. Right, okay, so you don't want to overfill because otherwise there'll be no space for them to move. So these that I've dropped over there, that's not particularly worrying me because that'll probably be too many. Okay. And you've got to remember that you want them to be flattened out so that they move. Now I think that's going to be too many. I'm going to take a few out of there. So again, by the time they're flattened out, which is what you'll want to do, so I think that's going to be better. And then there's plenty, and when they sit down together, you can see them at the bottom. Okay, so now that you've done that, and again, if you want to squash them out a little bit more, you can do. Now, you can take your tape off, and you might need to get a pokey tool to get into this, because it's a bit difficult once you've created a pocket. Okay. And again, you want to be careful it doesn't close on itself without you controlling it. And again, try and squeeze out a little bit of air and just push it up from the bottom, and then just gently squeeze it across. So you should have a nice flat pocket like that. Okay, you don't want it to be too bulky, otherwise it won't sit underneath the layer. Okay. So that is going to go like that. I'm going to put it as high as possible so that then you see the balloon, the sequins at the bottom. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just use some double-sided tape, and that is just going to go around the balloon like that. Okay, so actually I'm going to put that side there so that it's, so again, you don't want to see the glue, so that should be just nice. There you go. So that's nice like that. Okay, so the next thing you want to do, make sure you haven't got any sticky glue outside of where you just put that down. So now you can get your card base, you can fold it in half, and then what we're going to do now is place the pattern paper behind it. So that just gives it a really nice little detail there. Okay, so what I did is I placed find a pencil. I just placed the front where it's roughly lined up. Just put a little line top. Actually, I'm going to go put the line just proud of here, so you know where it needs to, and just below the bottom. So I know it's not, so I don't want it to go outside, I don't want to see it from behind. So I'm then going to place it like that. That's about right. So now that I know that's in position, I'm just going to do that, and that's going to be my guide to know where to place it. Right, what have I done with what have I done with my rubber? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of those guide pencil lines on the outside. So I'm going to use double-sided tape again. If you would rather use liquid glue so you can move it around, you can do, but you have got a bit of space around you have got a bit of space around the balloon, but it doesn't have to be absolutely spot on, so you've got a bit of leeway. Okay, so I'm just going to use those lines as my guide. Again, it doesn't even particularly matter if it's particularly lined up. So then that's going to go on there, and that's going to hide all of that. Okay, so what we can do now is layer this on, and you want this to be raised up a little bit so it's got space for this to move. So we're going to just turn that one over, and we're going to use some double-sided sticky pads, and we're going to put them all around because it needs to support the whole panel. Put one there. Put one about there. There we go. Okay, so that's going to protect all of those and allow that to, that's really pretty, isn't it? Okay, so we can stick that on. Oh, I'm glad I got my nails back again. They were a bit ropey for a while. Just means I haven't got to mess about with pokey tools or tweezers. There we go. Okay, so then we're going to place that on, and you want to centre that on your base and make sure that your piece of DSP is covered nicely. Just give it a little bit of press in all the places you know you've got the supports, and then that just gives it a bit of space to move around, which is really nice. Okay, so now we've got our balloon. So luckily that's going to hide this. So there are other images and dies in here. There are smaller balloons, there's stars, there's all sorts. So you can always use those if you do have a bit of a mishap with the stamping. You can always use one of those to cover it up. And then that's going to go there. And so I'm going to die cut two of the we've got two of the tassels. This one here. So what colour am I going to do? Oh, decisions. I think I'm going to do it. I might do it in the yellow just to bring back the background colour. So let me just grab that and the die cutting machine again. Always make sure you get rid of any little pieces because that will indent into your card otherwise. So I can probably fit that one in there. We like to make the most of our card stock, don't we? That is one of them done. So let me just get that one out of the die cutter. Okay, don't forget to clean out all the pieces if you're going to reuse it again, which we are. And then I'm going to do another one. So we're done with that one for now. Actually, we're done with that one completely now. So here I've got my other one. So I need to just take that one out of the die. And again, let's just clean up and take the pieces out of the die so it's all nice and clean for next time. Okay, so now we have a balloon that's going to go about there to hide my mistake. So basically, just so that you keep it all in within the line, and then I'm going to put one under here, and I'm going to put one on here, like this here. So I'm going to stick these two down straight onto the card. Just make sure that I want that at that level, so that's what I'm hiding. I'm hiding that, but I also just want to make sure. So you don't want to hide too much of this detail. And then I'm going to stick this one down as well. And again, I'm just going to use a little bit of double-sided tape. I'm going to put that one there. And these two, well, this one I'm going to raise up again on sticky pads. So one there, one there, one there. Oh, sticking to my fingers, and one there. Okay. So I'm going to have that raised up. Two of the tops have already come off. Again, I'm just going to place that roughly where the bottom of the balloon would be, which is quite nice to have that raised up. And then I'm just going to use a bit of tape again, just to add that on. So I'm going to basically add it to where this hole is. And then it's going to be the bottom of the balloon, and it's also going to be the bit of ribbon there. Oops, I've got some tape there. So there you have it. A simple way of doing a shaker card, using the in colours and the beautiful balloons, stamps and dice. So, and you can also use a detail to do your insert and your envelope as well. But that's quite a nice masculine card actually, so I quite like that one. So I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, you can find me on Pinterest and Facebook as Amanda's Crafted Cards, and you can find the products are all in the new catalogue that went live about a week and a bit ago in the 2003 to 2004 catalogue. They're all in there, and you can find that at amandascraftedcards.stampinup.net. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall catch you up next time for the next project. Take care. Bye bye.